So Idris, this is a holds barred account of Nelson Mandela. For many younger viewers of the film who have seen that smiling grandad with politicians and football teams, might be quite shocked. I mean, would you have done it if it had been Saint Mandela the movie?
Well, I would have done it, yes, but I would have also asked to make sure that we was as honest about who he is and where he's come from. So inevitably we would have to sort of reference his younger life. And I think it's a great point about what younger people should expect from a film about Mandela, or this film, is that he is, he's pretty gangster as a young man. He was this very charismatic young lawyer that turned into an activist, and he literally had to go underground to make that happen. And it was certainly a surprise for the audience when they hear about some of the things that he got up to, as Mandela.
You taking on a role with one of the most famous men on the planet. Does it help you as an actor that you get to portray him as a younger man, and you're putting your stamp on this character because we see young Mandela?
Well, it's a gift and a curse, to be honest with you, because I don't look anything like Mandela when he was a young man or as an old man, but the point is that I got to interpret it for the audience, and I'm asking the audience for a big ask. Hey guys, I'm Idris and I'm going to play Nelson. And they come along with me, and ultimately we show a part of his life that is not unknown, but just not as well documented as his older life. But it's a gift for an actor. It's definitely a gift.
It's one of those career-defining roles, isn't it? I mean, Nelson Mandela is a big one. I mean, when you get the call, are you terrified? I mean, do you think...
Well, when I got the call, actually, it was my agent. I thought he was joking, and I put the phone down on him. And he called back, and I was like, Roger, what? Who are you looking for, Morgan Freeman? He goes, no, you. I was like, you're kidding me. He's like, no, seriously, they really want you to speak to them about playing Nelson Mandela. And I was like, I don't look nothing like Nelson Mandela. What are you talking about? He says, no, it's not this. It's not a looky-like version. But honestly, a sense of honour. I was just honoured. I was like, I can't believe it. Like when in the lottery and the hand comes down and it's a finger and it's you. That's what it felt like.
You mentioned Morgan Freeman there. I mean, did you speak to him? Did you say, how did you approach this role?
I haven't spoken to Mr. Freeman, no, and I haven't seen Invictus on purpose, to be honest with you. I didn't see it when it came out, but when I knew that I was going to be playing this, I didn't want to see, other interpretations of Mandela, because I didn't want that to colour or influence what I was going to do. But I'd love to see. I hope Morgan sees my film and tells me what he thinks.
You didn't get to meet the man himself either, because he's obviously
very young. He was too frail, yeah.
But you obviously can do a hell of a lot of research when it comes to Nelson Mandela. There's enough out there you can read up on. I mean, and you went to Robben Island, didn't you? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I did. I ended up spending a night. Well, I asked if I could spend the night on Robben Island. It's a museum now, and after hours, I said, "Can I stay the night?" And they said no. And I went back 6 times, and they said, "Okay, fair enough." And I needed some perspective on what it's like. I've never been locked up, and I never wanted to sort of do prison acting. I really wanted some context on what it's like to have your freedom taken away. And although it's just for one night, it really, really put me into a pocket. It's not nice to have someone lock you in a cage and say, "Be back in the morning." It's not a nice feeling. And, Nelson spent 19 years in that cell, 19 years locked up like an animal for having a belief in something. And it really angered me in the morning when I left, when I got out of there. But it also gave me a lot of determination to make a great film,
He was treated like an animal outside the prison as well, when he had, an hour, whatever he had, recreation. What are those days like on set when, I'm guessing you're filming with a South African cast? It's very recent history to them. Are they almost apologetically racist, even though they're acting and reading the lines? How does that work those days? I mean,
there was the South Africa's moved on massively in that, and there's a lot more diversity like that, But it certainly was, it's tension. You're evoking a lot of memories, and these memories are not that young, not that old. So, especially with some of those white South African actors, there was a little bit of tendency to sort of pull back on the blatant racism in scenes. And I remember saying to them, listen, I know this is tough for you to call me whatever you have to call me, but you have to do it. This is a movie. They didn't pull back then. Don't pull back on the set. I need it as it would be. And, eventually, Justin and I sort of pulled everyone into the same performance space, which is let's do this for real. Let's not mess around, especially on Robben Island.
Idris, you mentioned you spent one night there and you came out angry. Is that what we take away from Mandela, that he spent 27 years locked up and he came out and forgave people?
Yeah, I mean that's the massive sort of comparison there. He did that, and that's why this story's a legacy, and that's why it's worth going to support this film, not for commercial reasons, but to keep the man's sort of story alive. If he can forgive, anyone after 27 years of being persecuted, you and I, we can do it, after a little road rage, surely, you know what I mean? But beyond that, it's just there's a personal story there about forgiveness is important. It's also very, very courageous to sort of say, you know what, I'm going to let you go. It's a very courageous thing to do.
And just finally, I've got to ask you about Oscar buzz. There's lots of it. If your name's read out next January, how are you feeling?
Mate, I'll be over the moon. I won't lie to you. I mean, I've always watched the Oscars on TV to just for a phone call, just be like, "You're going." That would be amazing. But bigger than that, the fact that the movie would be recognised, it means more bums on seats for the film, and and it's just be a nice thing to take back to South Africa, wouldn't it?